Female police officer spat on a black man at a checkpoint, and this happened. This story is sad and pathetic. Leave your comments in the comments section. Let's see what you think about this video. What would you do if you were treated like a criminal just because of your skin color? How would you feel if the person meant to protect you turned against you? And what if this humiliation happened to someone who could alter the course of that officer's career forever? It was a regular evening at the checkpoint on the edge of town. Cars passed through, most barely given a second glance by the officers on duty. The night was heavy, the sky a deep blue, flecked with hints of stars peeking out as the last light faded. For Officer Lydia Harper, this was just another routine night. Until a black man approached her checkpoint in a beat-up, dusty car. He was chubby, muscular, and dressed in a simple black t-shirt and dark blue trousers. Little did Lydia know, this man was not an ordinary passerby. He was Jamal Lawson, the town's newly appointed chief sheriff, known to few at the station as he'd recently relocated to begin his tenure. But what would make a seasoned officer like Harper react so rashly, even aggressively? And what makes someone look at a person and assume guilt? As Jamal's car rolled to a stop, Officer Harper squared her shoulders and walked over, tapping her flashlight against the hood of the car. Her face twisted into a frown as she looked him up and down. "Roll down the window," she commanded curtly, not even a hint of politeness in her tone. Jamal complied, his face calm, his hands resting on the wheel, giving nothing away. He knew what he had to endure for the night. After all, his new position was confidential for another few days. But would the uniform change how she viewed him? Lydia looked him over, suspicion glinting in her eyes as though he were a criminal. "What's your business in this area?" Jamal's response was calm, measured. "I'm just passing through. It's been a long day, officer." But Harper didn't want to hear it. She motioned to the other officers to stop the cars behind him. Then in a loud, intimidating tone, she demanded, "Step out of the car now." Now what would you do if you were told to step out of your own car without a clear reason? Would you comply quietly, or would you question the authority abusing their power? As Jamal stepped out, Harper's eyes drilled into him with an unspoken anger. "Hands on the hood," she snapped, as if he was a dangerous criminal. Jamal knew better than to escalate, so he raised his hands and complied, his heart pounding with frustration as his dignity was stripped away in seconds. She began an aggressive pat-down, treating him with harsh disregard as the other officers looked on. Jamal's eyes held a fire, but his voice remained silent. What happens next is shocking. Officer Harper's actions took a dark turn. As she continued to search his pockets, she suddenly spat on the ground near his feet, her face contorted with visible disdain. "You people think you can just walk around wherever you want, don't you?" she sneered. Jamal clenched his jaw, swallowing his pride. He couldn't reveal who he was. Not yet. Not in the middle of this ugliness. He wanted to see just how far she would go. But in that moment, something snapped inside him. What would you do if someone spat near you in utter disrespect? Would you stand your ground, or walk away to save face? The drama reached its breaking point. An officer from another car recognized Jamal from a recent police briefing about their new sheriff. His eyes widened, and he quickly approached Officer Harper, whispering frantically in her ear. Her face paled, her eyes darting to Jamal, realization setting in with a sudden jolt. What would you do if you found out that the person you just humiliated had the power to end your career? Harper's hands began to shake, the weight of her actions crashing down on her. Jamal took a deep breath, his calm demeanor unbroken. "You should watch how you treat people, Officer Harper," he said in a low, even tone, his voice carrying the weight of his authority. "You might not always know who you're dealing with." At that moment, Harper knew her fate was sealed. She tried to stammer out an apology, her confidence gone, but Jamal raised a hand to stop her. He wasn't interested in excuses, not after what he'd just experienced firsthand. Instead, he simply said, "I'll see you at the precinct." The following day, Jamal made it clear that this wasn't just going to be swept under the rug. As he walked into the precinct, heads turned, and whispers filled the air. Harper was called into his office, her face pale as she anticipated the repercussions of her actions. Jamal looked her in the eye, his expression unreadable. "Officer Harper," he began slowly, his voice carrying a hard edge. Last night's incident was not just a matter of poor judgment. It was a serious abuse of power, motivated by prejudice. What do you think should happen to Officer Harper? How should those who abuse their power be held accountable? Is a simple apology enough, or should there be real consequences to prevent such actions in the future? Jamal wasn't willing to let this slide. A formal complaint was filed against Officer Harper, detailing her misconduct and the blatant disrespect she showed toward a civilian. The report went public, sparking outrage in the community and serving as a wake-up call to officers who thought they could act with impunity. As days passed, the weight of public opinion turned against Harper, and she was suspended pending an investigation. News of her behavior spread through the community, reaching people of all ages, backgrounds, and races. The town was divided. Some said she deserved leniency, while others demanded her resignation. But the public eye was watching, and the pressure mounted. Jamal met with community leaders and held an open town meeting where he addressed the need for reform within the department, sparking discussions on training and awareness programs. He also reassured the community that he would work toward a police force that treated everyone with dignity, regardless of their background. What would you do if you were in Jamal's position? Would you have revealed your identity, or would you have waited like he did? And what if you were Officer Harper? How do you come back from a mistake like this? Officer Harper's career, once promising, was now at a crossroads. As the investigation unfolded, she faced the harsh reality of her actions. In a final statement, Jamal reminded his department that respect and empathy are cornerstones of good policing.
If you've watched this far, comment which country you're watching from and leave a 100 in the comment section, because you are type of person that likes to finish what they started. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to get notified whenever we drop new videos.